really sure. I think it was a teenager, and I think my sister might have said something like, well, you're a twin and mom had an abortion or something like that. I was like, oh, and I don't really remember having any thoughts about it. I just was like, oh, okay. I used to think that I was just a miracle baby because she said that I was a preemie baby. I was born, I think it was only 2 pounds or 3 pounds. And I was in an incubator for about 2 months. This was in 1980, so I think maybe it was a little bit more, it was really difficult for premature babies to survive. And she was happy that I survived, but at the same time, I think that she also was not happy that I survived because it did ruin her relationship. And I think she had some animosity towards me and maybe some unforgiveness to herself for making that decision. And then as I got older, I would tell people the story, oh, well, my mom had an abortion and I had a twin and they took my twin instead. Like that kind of a story. But it wasn't until I was just a few years ago when I got in touch with Melissa and the Abortion Survivors Network that I got the paperwork that actually said that my mom had an abortion and that I survived. It wasn't until then that actually I guess I realized the impact of what actually happened to me, that it was an actual thing. And so I really sort of thought about it more. Like it wasn't just a story. I don't think I ever really thought about what that really meant. I just feel really sad and I feel like I'm still grieving and I've been kind of avoiding it because it really takes me to places that I don't like. I hide and I have anxiety and I get depressed and all these things and sometimes I get angry about it. I think, golly, if she would have just, made a different choice or somebody would have, reached out to her and, I could have had this other person with me my whole life and I wouldn't have felt so alone. Like we would have done stuff together and had life together and that's got to be what's wrong with me. I thought that's what's wrong with me is that I lost that other part of me that was supposed to be there. And like we were attached, even though we weren't born together, I feel attached to them. And I feel like I miss them and I want them to be here and it's sad that they're not here. So mostly sad. Maybe maybe my brother was the one who saved me. Maybe he was in the way and, maybe that's why, maybe they didn't see me for a reason. So that's so hard to think about, but maybe whatever they were doing, they took him instead. So then I think, why would they take him instead of me? Like, what do I have, that he couldn't have? Maybe he could have done it better than me because sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough or I have a lot of deep things like that. So I don't know. I know it has to be for something big because that's a huge, I know nowadays they do different abortion, different ways, but back then it was like for God to have saved me is really a miracle.